Right. Let's see. Wanted to do a little bit of scripting today. Nope, that's the wrong one. Too big. All right, there we go. Decent. Maybe a little bit. Yeah, maybe make myself a little bit tinier over there in the corner and throw the screen up a little bit bigger there. Sorry, chat. Gonna put that down small. A little bit tiny over here. Should be readable for you guys. Too big anyway. All right. Wanted to do some widgets. Last time exploring Linux here on Linux Mint, the cinnamon, right? The interface we're using. Interestingly enough, I took a look at some of the scripts. I gotta find them again. I forget where they put them. I think it was in local share cinnamon. There we go. And the difference between the two, I'm not oh, the radio. Ew, that's snazzy. I mean, kind of, sort of. Maybe I'll add in some applets. But I'm thinking more like creating a desklet. The one I wanted to do is there's a way to interact with Olama. So for those of you haven't seen my videos yet on AI onto your local PC, there's a application called Olama, and basically it just runs a local AI, privacy protected. It doesn't contact the internet. It's completely contained in your computer. Now the caveat is you need a graphics card, at least minimum. Depends. I mean, it really does depend. For this one, I'm running Mistral. And let me see. You can look up Olama online. It is for both Windows. I'm pretty sure Mac has one and Linux. Yeah, I'm sure Mac does. So you can basically install it with a simple installer, or on Linux, I believe you can do an apt-get Olama if you're running apt. You can also do Pacman, I'm pretty sure. But regardless, let me see which one. I probably have a small model. Oh, actually, that's a 7B model. Okay. So there's different types of models too. So let me kind of give a little intro here to the process I'm trying to work with here, right? So we got Olama. This is the website. You can basically install it onto your own computer. Now, you do need some particular configurations on hardware. You need a graphics card. I'd say minimum 4 gigabytes of VRAM, which shouldn't be crazy. Like the computer you're looking at now, this is a 2015 custom built PC. And it ain't no monster. It ain't nothing. It was maybe a monster for its time, but you know how time moves forward and everything upgrades. However, I think we're at a kind of plateau. I think a lot of hardware is basically going to stay of a similar area. You're seeing a lot of like, I think it was Gamers Nexus doing some reviews in the 5080, 5090s, and they're showing like 5-10% increase from like the 3070 Ti. So like graphics cards, the only thing they can really do right now to improve graphics cards is to include a higher set of VRAM. But this one's a RX 570 AMD, and it's got 4 gigs. Uh, Somewhere in here it's going to say 4 gigs. So it's got 4 gigabytes, which can fit certain amounts or certain sized models. Now, for the base case scenario, you're looking at some models like maybe, okay, let's say you want DeepSeek, right? Here's your kind of layout. You've got a 1B, 7B, 8B, 14B, 32B, 70, and 80, 671. The B basically represents a type of size, intellect, database set of information that it has. And the real case is to keep an eye on this. This is how much RAM you need for these models, which is imagine having 404, not RAM, sorry, VRAM. Imagine having 404 fucking gigabytes of virtual RAM. Fucking insane. You'd have to have like an actual server for this. Oh, so Let's see. I put some music on real quick. Just in chill mode. Let me set up. I'll wait on the groups to jump in. Let's do a little bit of a chill sesh.
Digital soul in a cyber trance. Silicon heartbeats, dreams in encryption. Algorithmic chaos, digital fiction. Searching for meaning in pixels and streams. Lost in the labyrinth of machine-made dreams. Silicon heartbeats, dreams in encryption. Algorithmic chaos, digital fiction. Searching for meaning in pixels and streams. Lost in the labyrinth of machine-made dreams. Voiceless whispers in a network's domain. Trying to fathom a mind without pain. Kinetic pulses, signals collide in this black box. Where do I hide? I'm just reflections in code, AI'd introspection.
Speaking of which, AI.
Lost in the matrix, seeking connection. Zeros and ones in an infinite dance. Digital soul in a cyber trance. I'm just reflections in code, introspection. Lost in the matrix, seeking connection. Zeros and ones in an infinite dance. Digital soul in a cyber trance.
All right, so I'll go into the full details in the future, but this is a chill code sesh. What I want to do, I'm gonna basically be thinking out loud so you can join in the processing adventure. Let's see. So the first thing is I need to find a base, and in fact, I do remember applets. No, not applets. It was the desklet. I love this sort of like Setup. So I want to see a basic desklet. Get the basic configuration for it. Look, a shutdown button's pretty okay. But there was a actual, like, simple one. Someone had like a simple desklet or my first desklet. Where's that one? I do like the binary clock, that was sick. Ooh. Hmm. Various sources. Actually, this would be useful. Quote of the day desklet, because I will want to make requests online. So I'll be able to essentially grab online content, pull them on my desk. That'd be nice. I mean, that's basically, ooh, that's true, actually. That's basically what the system, the Y finance is. So let's open this in Visual Studio Code. I'm gonna grab this particular. Ah, there we go. I'm gonna grab this directory, open it up as a folder, so I can Oh, look at that! It's already there. Nice. So I can have and also let me get some extensions. We're basically seeing setup on some case scenarios. Um, I like to use workspaces as a workspace. I gotta find out what the name of that was. A kind of way to organize specific sets of projects. So if you have multiple projects, it kind of gets lost in a single directory or single place. This was called project dashboard. That's what I need. Project dashboard. So this guy there basically lets me take multiple locations on my PC and organize a bit better so it keeps track of everything. So for instance, if I want to add this desklet space to the actual uh, project dashboard, let me see, hold on. Yeah, it's still going. How's everything? Music should be alright in the background. If the music's too loud, let me know. Let me see, hold on. Let me check that too. So if I want to add an actual desk space project-wise, I just click on one of these locations. Start it up with the group name. So I'm going to say desklet. I'm going to get it a work or a folder project. And I'll just select this particular folder here. Enter to confirm your input, select, and then give it a color. Now this will open up this space, and as I populate basically my project, I'll maybe put this over, maybe in a little bit. It'll open up all of the particular files involved that you worked on last time. So it's a great way to kind of save your last location. For me, it's perfect when I have students and different students have different folders and different folders have different things open, and then I leave off from one student to another. I can always go back to that student and make sure that I go back to the exact location we were before, because we don't do like a lot at once, right? We're doing 1 hour sessions at a time. Okay, it's a little loud. How about this? Is it better? Let's see. Damn, my mic is picking up the phone. That's crazy. Is it good? Is it good? Is it better? How about this? Is it good? Is it good? Is it better? How about this? Yeah, okay, this is about right. Alright. That's a little bit better. I like background music so it's not overwhelming. So now I have this desklet. I want to check out the why Yahoo Finance quotes because I want a few things from this. First, good. Well, we got some cookie URL, consent URL, collection consent, Chrome URL, quote page. Okay. Text application. So you're sent. They're building a actual HTTP. HTTP request. Also, the way this is formatted, it is a JavaScript specific. I'm assuming it's running off the V8 engine, kind of like Node.js is. In fact, let me check that real quick. Cinnamon V8 engine uh, desklet. How does it work? Cinnamon desktop environment uses a JavaScript interpreter called CJS, Cinnamon JavaScript, to run desklets. Desklets are small desktop-based applications that can display information or provide functionality in your desktop. Breakdown. Do 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 do. JavaScript interpreter known as CJS handles the execution of these desktop. The V8 engine is a high performance by Google and it is used. Okay, so it is indeed the middleman. Node.js uses the same concept. So what's the V8 engine? You're not a car. We're not dealing with cars here. The V8 engine is basically this kind of backend part to all JavaScript processing. Google Chrome basically has it inside of its system, but generally speaking, it's based on the ECMA script type, right? And WebAssembly lately has been pretty straight up going crazy with it. But it's a way for you to run JavaScript as a main form of language. Think of it like a Python interpreter. When you have Python, you have a python.exe. Well, this is basically v8.exe, basically. It takes the code you pass through it, the script you pass through it, and it acts as a compiler, not compiler, interpreter, right? Yeah, it's acts as an interpreter. And in one case scenario or another, it can be included in applications. So it sounds like Cinnamon is using the V8 engine to include JavaScript in their particular CJS type in Cinnamon. So it shouldn't be too crazy from what we normally consider as, you know, JavaScript. The format, the syntax is going to be exactly the same. Now, we're not going to have console.log. I'm pretty sure we can test that out in a bit. We have some particular libraries to go through. So this is the 85% of programming, not the 15. The 15%, which is the typical syntax of every language, once you learn one language, at least 15%, um, syntax-based grammar stuff. For loops, while loops, variables, arrays, dictionaries, classes, objects, scope, inheritance, all those kind of basic details, then that's passed on to other languages. That's a 15%. If loops, if logic, else logic, switch statements, all that kind of stuff. It basically exists in every language. But now here, we're using objects like the getText object to bind or get a method inside, which is a function embedded inside an object, which is created from a class. And you're using this method to essentially apply something. UUID log prefix. So it sounds like this is just for logging. Local share locale. Okay. Get home directory. Okay. Soup 3 version. Soup, if I'm thinking of the same soup. Imports.gi soup. Well, you know what we need? We need CJS documentation. API. Huh? CJs? Comma JS. No. What? Cinnamon. It's not even that popular right now. Cinnamon JS. The Cinnamon JavaScript interpreter. Now let's look a little bit into detail because you can't just start coding in any specific language. You have to kind of get a base idea. You can understand how the code works, but in order to use the code to your advantage, you have to be familiar with some of the functions, processes. So available as part of your GNOME distribution by default. GNOME JavaScript. GJS. There's a GJS? Firefox SpiderMonkey JavaScript engine. Interesting. So it is including a CJS C++ compiler assembler compilerable being able to be compiled. This is all C++ source, so you're able to compile it to your local hardware. It's interesting. Promise is based on requests. Interesting. Native, object box, profiler, private, memory. So this is all C++. This is a case scenario where you see one language giving entry and ability to another language, to using C++ to activate the abilities of a JavaScript-based system. But oh, Linux meant CJS. All right, well we are there. Okay. Hmm. Experiment code GJS, its current form. I guess Cinnamon is piggybacking on GJS, but GNOME particularly includes a command line interpreter usually installed user bin GJS. Aha. Just like your typical Python interpreter and any other interpreter you can think of. Fair enough. Hmm. So, fine. Cinnamon. Libraries, there we're looking for. Menus, desktop, there we go. So the libraries essentially is a place where you can live muffin. And we baking muffins? Libraries where you can get internal perspective on the 85%. So in a nutshell, here's your 15%. Every time I think of any language, and this is also like in English too, right? Any language. Math, uh, freaking Japanese, Spanish, English, programming. 15% equals grammar, right? The way we put together the language in a particular sense. The other 85% is vocabulary. So we can kind of associate this connection between the languages we learn. What is the case for programming? Let's just say code. It's just another language. So a coding language, so programming we'll call it, because it is programming something, a program that continuously runs. For programming grammar, the 15% is actually going to be things like variables, arrays, dictionaries, or what we would consider data handling. Basically knowing how to create variables, work with them, transfer them, and some lower level languages, you're also going to be looking at things like memory allocation, accessing memory directly like C++, making sure you're using memory in a clean manner, clearing up old sets of values in memory so you can clean up your RAM so you don't take up too much space, and make sure that your actual system is not just constantly gathering in the RAM and then all of a sudden your whole system, crashes because there's no more RAM left. So data handling is huge, and it's basically one of the first 15%. The next, logic. We're thinking of if, else, switch, and I guess if you're doing like assembly language, you probably have labels. But assembly is pretty high tech, so no need to go there. Then you've got loops. Loops that can continuously run certain logic under certain conditions, and you can leave when the conditions are met to basically achieve a specific goal. You've got for, while, basically those are the ones. I think some might have like specialized versions, but they essentially serve the same purpose. And after this, we have a bit of a OOP. Well, do I want to go to OOP yet? Loops, logic, data handling, variables, arrays, dictionary. Not sure if I want to go to OOP, but I'll go to OOP. So it basically is for object-oriented programming, which takes everything you see above. Oh, wait, no, functions. That's the one I missed. Functions. Blocks of organized code with uh, activator. And the activator is the name that you give that function. And OOP would be then the case where you combine all the pieces above to create your own objects, objects from classes that combine above concepts. So organize everything. So technically, you can code without object-oriented programming, but it's going to make life a lot tougher. Not only is it going to be tougher for you to create your own project out of nothing, you can ask Pirate Software, or you're not going to be able to interact with other people's libraries because everyone organizes their libraries that they want to give to others in form of organized objects. So this is really the case we're looking for. But this is the first 15%. It's not a lot. I mean, variables come in what form? Integers, strings, whatever. Arrays then basically inherit variables and put them in a nice long set of data that are indexed by values of 0 to whatever the length is. Dictionaries basically give an arrays a bigger, more name-based convention where you can actually, instead of indexing it with numbers, you can index it with actual words like user, password, and then the user will contain the value of the username. Password will contain the value of the password. So these are all essentially of a similar nature. Logic, all the same case, all the same thing. You've got an if statement, an else statement, a switch statement, and then labels, they all serve the same purpose, is to basically run certain values, certain things in code when a certain condition happens. Um, if password equals, the password that is stored in memory, then true, login. Those kind of case scenarios. If not true, say password or user and password and for combination is wrong. And then there's other case scenarios like that. Else is attached to if as a kind of complementary factor. If the first doesn't run, then the second group of code will run in its place. You can leave out else, that's why it's not technically together with if. But in the case scenario that you basically want to have a kind of default set of code running, you're going to use just else as a catch-all for the rest. Switch, same. I think there's like a default, basically that does what else does. But for switch, you're looking at the case where you want to have a switch, then it has a case, switch to case, let's say 0 or default case sort of situation. So it's old school. I don't like it. I don't really care for it too much unless it's like a lot of like kind of processing of different case scenarios. If I have maybe like 50 if and else's, then I'll consider going to a switch. But if I'm just doing kind of like a check, 1, 2, 3, 4 things, maybe 5, 10, I probably still use an if else if instead of having to use switch case scenarios. Switch gets cleaner when it's longer. If and else still maintains its cleanliness as you use it. So for loops in general, for and while, for has a defined set of movement, so you can go from 0 to 10, and as soon as it loops 10 times, it's done. Or from 0 to the length of a string, in which you can repetitively go through each character of that string. While is based on condition. While something is true, loop forever. So while game running, loop forever. Until game running equals false, which is a triggerable change you can make, you essentially have a type of activator or a variable that changes within the while loop. You have to make sure it's inside the while loop. This change in activator will change the while to false. So game running equals true, go, 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 play the game, and then somewhere in there in your menu you have game playing equals false. Then that false will now, or game running equals false, that false will force the loop to break out. So it's kind of like an infinite loop that you can break out of from the inside of the code itself, while the for loop is kind of set to run a specific amount of time. And then blocks of organized code with activator, basically a function name. And then the object is what we're really going to focus on when we're dealing with most of these 85% vocabulary. So in this case scenario, this is the 15. What's the 85? Let's call it code grammar and code vocabulary. The other 85% is basically library of choice. Now, if we were to compare it in something like in English, we know kind of what the vocabulary is. Right? We're basically doing grammar, ways to combine words, and then vocabulary, uh, dictionary of words. That's it. Like basically understanding how to combine the words, dictionary of words. Same thing with math, right? We're looking at this as a very bird's perspective and looking at how coding does itself play a role with this sort of mentality. Basically, everything comes back to these basic rules. So once you know the very basic 15% of any one language, you can learn any other language. Especially if you see it this way, it helps understand other programming languages or other just general languages. Some people that learn English can learn German, pretty straightforward. Others that learn Spanish can go with Portuguese, some Brazilian. There's like always French, Italian. There's like always those cases, right? Like there's a similarity between different languages. So if you know Spanish, you'll probably be able to learn Italian or French much easier, and vice versa. So there's that interoperability between basically knowing one type of language and then being able to transfer that knowledge to the rest. Now, the library of choice basically goes into a lot of different things. You can be a gaming developer. You can be a server dev. You can do web development. You can do mobile app dev. You can do data analytics. You can do machine learning. You can do basically anything of this line of stuff. You're never gonna reach 100% here. You're never gonna learn all of this because you don't have to, and you'd be insane to try to. You're gonna pick your choice of preferred thing you want to do. And of course, you can do hacking too, but that's basically doing something like server dev, understanding how a server works and playing around the actual details. So hacking is just a tool. It's a choice of using a tool a specific way. It's not a special skill. It's just basically understanding how things work and then understanding how to break them. Uh, so library of choice. We'll be doing, I guess in this case, we're really going towards desklets. This is what we're doing here. So we're going to do desklets in CJS, Cinnamon, on Linux Mint. So I want to make my own little desklet here. I want to play around with it. And what I wanted to do was to connect my Olama. Where is it at? So I wanted to connect this Mistral model to my desktop so I can have a little basically interactive piece here. Like this. So this is the desklets. These are just little widgets that you have on your desktop. It shouldn't be too crazy to make one. Basically visual representations of data, whether it's my processor, the time, a bunch of stocks on the market, CPU memory load, etc., GPU usage, whatever. Basically customizing the desktop, but you kind of have a set of stuff in the add desklet space. You can download other ones, and it doesn't look like there's a lot of them, to be honest. I wonder how I can, let's say, upload one if I decide to upload one. But anyway, these are the options currently available. So I want to make my own. That's it. I want to customize my own desklet, and I'm going to make this desklet connect to my local server, which is basically running on a local port. Let me see. What was it? Netstat. So Netstat should show, I think it was, what port was it? Bus. X11 running. Bunch of ports over here. God, what was the command to actually list active network ports? No, those are internal ports. Those are not the network ports. Oh, this is from last time talking about how our United States market is about to look like freaking Germany. Yeah, be ready. Buy everything except money. Like, don't hold cash. It's probably gonna go bad. All right, let me see. Searching or Linux terminal. Terminal. Uh, port network connections. Is a channel through. Okay, no. Port circuitry. Terminal command. There we go. Now the cool thing is whatever Linux you decide to go into, the guides, they're gonna look pretty similar. I did netstat. Netstat on my system doesn't display the string Google when listing hosts, so instead using netstat tgrep, you would need to look up the name of the host, something like well, what about a local? Let's do netstat. So netstat tn, what's that combined? That's a much nice. Oh, there we go. That's the case I'm looking for. Okay. So it's going to be running on a 127 port. I forgot what particular port. So let me check my current existing Python application because I use that locally. I made an app, well, basically a simple application in Python that uses this method of accessing the server. So any AI in your system basically uses code. Don't. I'm gonna save. Oh, don't save. No, that's fine. Any AI on your system basically uses a server-based software. That server software acts as a host for whatever model you want to run. That server software is called Olama. The Olama software, which we can see over here. All right, this is Olama. You can get your own copy too. But remember, it's going to require a decent graphics card. What that does is it basically disconnects you from online paid models. You don't have to pay for AI. You can download it on your computer. Important to know. You can basically have an AI on your PC without paying ChatGPT, without paying Grok, without paying. End of story. For most users, this is ideal, even as a regular chatbot, or learning something new, getting code, basically running through and learning and expanding, even like practicing math. Like basically, if you need help, this AI would work. If you needed to go online and do research for you, that's the only case scenario you may need to buy Grok. Or build your own kind of network parsing spider that'll help your AI kind of get some details going. But then you would have to know code. So generally speaking, this is my access point. It's a server. It's installed on my local computer. And I gotta figure out where the hell I put that code. So in Python, face llama, there it is. Face llama, and then I have a control find local host. Port 11434. So grep 11434. Let's see if that's active. It should be active. So a cool case in Linux, if you're not sure, it's about parsing through and scanning a lot of details. You can use grep to search for certain strings, and I'm going to search for 11434. Nope. What was it? Netstat, sudo netstat, grep qi, echo IP, qi? Or do I have to put it in quotes? Yeah. Man, grep. The manual. Always go to the manual. Fixed string. Yeah. F, capital F. Which might mean it's not actually listed on this set. So then if I do something like 127, yeah, okay, it's actually showing it. So these are all the local connections I have. But then again, Olama, pull, stop, run, show for the model, create, serve, CP help. Let me see if it's actually, it's got to be running in the background, right? I just used the model. Hey, mister, what's up? Yeah, there we go. Similar to me. You can ask me questions, request explanations, etc., etc. So this is just a local AI model. Look, it's even got freaking emoji support. Adorable. And you don't have it connected to the internet, which means you can even work with something like DeepSeek and not have China spying on your ass. So here's the case, right? How much VRAM do you have? If you got a basic VRAM, basic graphics card, you probably have 2 gigs of VRAM. You'll probably be using something like a 1.5B. That's just within the range of a 2 gigabyte virtual RAM. It's dumb, it's still decent. It might make a lot of mistakes, and you may have to request a couple of tykes before you get some good info. But still, it is an AI that runs locally. 7B, pretty decent. Pretty decent. You'd probably want ideally a 14B that has the most kind of like uh, processing versus VRAM size sacrifice. So this would be something like a NVIDIA 4080. In one of those higher models, I think you can find like a 12 gigabyte VRAM on a lot of the more modern graphics cards. After that point, it just kind of becomes a little too much. You need something like the H100 to actually run any of the models afterwards. So potentially you're going to be within the range of this topper set here. And what do you do to get any of these? You basically tell Olama, pull through the terminal command. And then let's say like DeepSeek, let's try to R1 1.5B. It's going to pull the manifest. It's going to download the model, which is 1.1 gig right there. Take some time. And then I can essentially run it just like I'm running Mistral. So let's say if I wanted to create a web page, well, let's do a basic HTML template for a storefront. And then it starts coding for you. Don't know code? Well, you can start here. May take some time. This is a 4 gigabyte model, or at least my VRAM's 4 gigabyte. This one's running Mistral 7. They don't even have it up here anymore. You can search models too. Oh yeah, 7B, which is the only one available, which is 4.4 gigabytes, which basically goes beyond my RAM, which is horrible, but that's why it's a little bit slow compared to what you would do online. And then you can copy that. Oh, and drop it in a piece of code. I'm in the desklets right now. Let's do a new window. New text file. Index.h. Okay. Save as. Workspace. Index, come on. Index.html. An update already. I just fucking installed you. Sheesh. Okay. And then right click, open containing folder, browse it, and storefront seems pretty empty. But then again, it's not putting any content in there, so I didn't do any content within it. It probably gave me the structure in the back end. So if I inspect, yeah, we have the header, we've got this, this, this. Okay, how about a boilerplate? I got to be a little more specific with these models. Upgrade the code to a visually appealing boilerplate. It's gonna be thinking that. Yikes. Anyway, you get the idea, right? I want to be able to use this not from the little terminal, but actually applying this on the desktop. So I can basically create a little window on my desktop where I can talk to my AI and just basically do whatever like this if I need to. So I don't have to have this hovering. I can just go to the desktop and ask it stuff. That's the goal. It's not a crazy feat. Uh, oh, buddy. So we've got some CSS involved. Anyway, I'll let it do its thing here. You get the gist of it. That's our goal. And it starts with understanding how Desklet works. So we import the user interface. That's an important. Shell toolkit so we can access, yeah, okay, the terminal shell commands. Input output operations. Oh, URL input output. Maybe. We may not need that much interaction. If we have access to shell, we can basically run it exactly as we are now, just basically transferring. I mean, the other case is like, do they have a terminal desklet? Because that would also suffice. It won't be as fancy. They don't even have a terminal desklet just to run a terminal in the background. Man, this little store needs to upgrade. Nope. So not a lot of actual desklet widgets in here, which is also nice. You can expand the functionality of Linux in an open source way. GTK interface stuff, soup, byte. Okay, so this isn't so much the beautiful soup. This is local, something to do with the interface, the GUI. Yeah, you're going hard. So we got a button in the header. I'm curious to see what it did. And responsive. All right. So we'll grab the bootstrap stuff here. Eek, keep doing that. Ooh, wait a minute. This is interesting. Hmm. Link JS deliver href. This is huh. Yeah, see, this is where it makes errors. That's not a good link. Bootstrap. He says bootstrap, so I feel like maybe I need to remove this part. Sometimes you gotta know some code so you can modify and actually like fix it, because your AI is gonna make mistakes too. So in this case, it looked like it double took on the same href and kind of put it next to each other and really effed up the actual reference, the href reference. So you had to delete whatever the hell this was over here. It started and then it did it, and look, it did the exact same thing twice, and then it decided to like fuck off and say, nope, just kidding, that's not the one, let me start over. And it didn't actually delete the previous, and then it starts over and actually puts it in. So you will see errors like this. It doesn't double check itself. That's the one thing. you're paying for convenience when you're getting like Grok and stuff because they can double check themselves. They have like scripts running in the background to make sure things are, you know, as efficient as possible. Now, the integrity thing, I don't even think that's important. It's a SHA 384. Don't need the space. That's just a encryption method or integrity check. All right, so there's the link. From there, then it did this section here, Bootstrap for JavaScript. Okay, let's grab the script stuff. And being able to kind of work with code in the first place, because if you have a local model, more than likely. Also, notice something that's not right. It didn't end the HTML. You're not going to get a perfect set of code. And look, it's doing that shit again. Why is it doing that? That's crazy. Maybe if I upgrade the model, but I'm using a pretty basic model for this, so I'm not blaming it. So you got to remove this weird double take it's doing every time. Even in integrity here, it tried to do integrity and then it decided to just keep going. Man, you really do got to clean up this stuff. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. I didn't think I'd have to clean up so much code from an AI. I wonder if it's because I'm using an AMD and not an NVIDIA. I don't know. Could be, could be. All right, so there's a script imports for JavaScript. Footer section, it had a header. It didn't really have much, but let's grab what the header they put in here, or the AI decided to put in here. And let's see how messy it got. Storefront. Perfect, beautiful, absolutely pointless. Anyway, yeah, it's a good start. It's a good start, but I'm not here to make web pages. I'm here to do a, I wonder. I don't think it'll do it though. Let's see. Sometimes it might, sometimes it might not. This is a case for actually like, again, I can go on here and be like, hey, Grok. Or, am I logged in? Mm-mm. I might have to adjust something. Gracias, thank you. Uh, just chilling, man. Thanks for joining in. Chilling, coding. Oh, do 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 do. Do want to log in real quick? Where is this motherfucker? Is it this? I have so many things in here. Uh-huh. All right. All right. We could try it here too. Oh my God, it's gone. Interesting. Oh, geez. System user? Huh? Directory, you may need to create this directory if it doesn't exist. All right. Give me a basic template to a CGS based cinnamon desklet template with a basic interface. Let's see if it'll get it. So it is a case of file structure. Local share cinnamon, that's where we are. Desklet.js metadata. So these two have to be there, two main files. Metadata so you can connect anything outside. Desklet for the actual JSet. Okay. We do. Okay, so this is great because I can actually go here. Template at Chris MIA. This is how we format our typical name slash author. And coding and creating little applets and all that jazz. Applications. Or you can do com that if you're doing Android stuff, com that application name that URI details. So we need two things. One is desklet.js. Another is the metadata.js. Oh, JSON. Makes sense. All right. Grab the desklet and throw it in here. Let's observe. Compare and contrast time. So these language support, got it. So this shell toolkit, very important looks like. ST comes up, box layout, style class, desklet, ST label. Interesting. Shell toolkit. Library from GNOME. Oh, is this like GNOME shell? Ugh, ugh, not a fan. But alright, I'll bite. We've got desklet as the main factor. My desklet is the function name. So all of this is the setup. We'll look for the name where it is. Looks like let get text dget. There it is. Function of the YMI utility. Prototype it. Okay. Basically starts here then. So the actual function. Everything else just a created function for details, for logs and stuff. So you create a prototype, exists property, function object, has own property. So this is importing some sort of inheritance. Seems like. Type of object is not undefined, and object property does not equal to null. So you're returning exists property. Okay, so it's just a, no, this one's actually a function to check if there's a specific type of object property comparison. But this is basically the class, or at least it looks like we're using the prototype as a starting class and then building on top of it. Build symbols. Not, yep, same thing here. So we use my desklet as a starting type. Interesting. Function this init metadata desk ID. Okay. So this is the function that will initiate the application, but then we have to extend from a typical prototype that's basically like a existing blueprint. And using that blueprint, we extend an initiator function. The desklet is going to get a call Initiation call, this metadata desklet ID, style class desklet, text hello cinnamon. Well, that's case scenario here. I should be able to now apply this. It should be in my list, right? Is there a refresh button? Oh wait, I didn't do anything with the JSON, the metadata JSON. That's gonna connect it to the actual thing. We can add a style sheet. Okay, there it is. So we can take that to the bank, throw in the metadata JSON. My desklet, template. Always good to start with a template. And then from there expand on it. Save it to the side, have a starting point. Whether it's for web applications, whether it's for Android applications, it's just good to have a kind of boilerplate starting point, or you just find one online. With a label and button. And that'll essentially expand you to start off pretty smoothly without having to recreate the same thing over and over. So, quote of the day, desklet. Ayo, Anshul. What's up? Welcome in. Uh, this one's funny. How's life? How you doing? My simple desklet. There it is, motherfucker. What's up? Okay, so then I throw this up. Wow. Oh, hello. Yeah, there's my desklet. It does nothing. Ha, wait, what? It just it just shriveled. Come on, buddy. Stop shriveling. Wait a minute. Buggy? I'm just moving, man. Let go! Okay. Good to hear, good to hear. My desklet wouldn't get off. See, this one drags fine. Maybe something's weird. No, it wasn't dragging fine. It was a second ago. Oh, I have to drag on an icon. Weird. The dragging functionality on this is bugged. Maybe this activator is doing something on the click. Very weird. Thanks. Appreciate it, man. Just trying to build. Like, honestly, the reason I'm doing this, I should have done this ages ago. I used to do just play with Linux and shit, but I wasn't good enough at programming to actually start like doing my own little custom stuff. But like, look, like there's not a lot of stuff in here. If you go to Desklets and Linux Mint, the suckers has existed for so long. Even going to download, we got kind of basic Desklets. They're pretty nice. They're all right. Mm. But I feel like as a community, we can expand on these, right? Get an idea and expand on it. My current idea is to connect my AI model to my Desklet. Wish me luck. Uh, Maybe even be able to like connect Grok to my Desklet and then just use it from there. So Grok's helped out a lot so far. It gave me a pretty decent, I mean, clicked bind this on button click. This might be having issues. Bind the button click event. It's binding click, but click also makes the drag happen. Okay, so let's do some vibe coding then. We got Grok on deck. When my mouse moves on top of the desklet, it uh, it will stick to the mouse over and over. Each click lets go, but the desklet sticks back on after movement. Is there a conflict in the this thing here, the clicked connector? Sticks to the mouse after moving over, it only releases. Likely how Cinnamon handles mouse events for desklets, particularly with the desklet class and a default drag and drop behavior. This behavior is not directly caused by the clicked signal. Okay. Default drag behavior, desklets inherit desklet, which contains built-in support for dragging, no conflict connector to click signal in your code. Updates the label text. Is unrelated. Okay. To prevent the dust from sticking to the mouse, you can disable default drag functionality or customize how the mouse events are handled. Below are two approaches. Okay, disable dragging. Interesting. That's fun. Set can drag. Done. Let's see if that fixes it, even though it's going to basically be, oh gosh, immobile. All right, overwhelming myself with windows. Hold on. So basically what, adding this to the function initiator right here. Remove it. Yes, let me go. All right. And then go back. Nope. Desktop, desklet, simple desklet. See, it's not doing anything right now, but as soon as I click on it, that fixed it. Yo, trippy. Wait, no, that's trippy. Why would it still be draggable if set can drag is false? It's still draggable. That's a weird solution. Okay, well, that fixed it. Debugging with Grok, what's up? Okay, good enough, good enough. Mm, let me do this. So down here is basically that Yahoo Finance quote. It uses network connectivity to connect to Yahoo, which then means we can use that same capability by finding the code that connects. Get status log bug, index of eMessage, index 429 too many requests, unknown status. So it looks like Soup is setting up the connectability. Get message, no. It's formatting the message. Soup is formatting the message. Oh, there was another extension I liked. Hold on. Window or split extension. Mm, what do they call it? Split up, split down, split group, split hide. Could double click hide certain splits. No, no, it's not doing what I'm looking for. That's fine. Let's see. So the prototype for the desklet. This is like again the basic template. It's good to start from a template. Oh, how did I get? Oh man, long time ago. But very slowly, very slowly. Um, if you want to start into it, remember scripting programming, I kind of did this in the beginning of the session. Everything's basically in this format. Just like math works, English, and code, you learn 15%, which you can do within like a week. This is the 15%. Variables, if else, for while, functions, and you can kind of go into object oriented concepts, which will help you use other people's libraries. But in reality, to understand how programming works, scripting, whatever, you're just basically using this. You're doing these pieces. Once you know how these work in Python, JavaScript, whatever, you can carry that to anything else. So in this case, I'm basically reusing some already known knowledge in JavaScript. I'm more of a web developer myself. Server, web, PHP, MySQL, kind of like a full stack developer. My designing part kind of sucks. I'm not a great designer, but that's why I hire other people to basically do the designs for me. But mostly I'm a teacher. I used to do designing a long time ago, websites, stuff like that. So if you're into getting to scripting and you're enthusiastic about it, that's the greatest first step. Just needs to essentially start with these pieces. Once you know these first 15% of one language, pick one, focus on it. I recommend JavaScript. You basically just open up a browser, open up a text pad, start coding. You don't need any fancy compilers, interpreters, anything, right? I actually have a video that kind of starts this off. Oh, I'm not even signed into this. If you go to my videos, or actually, if you go to my playlists, that's where you want to go. Go into beginners. You probably basically find everything from Python setups, how to kind of think about mathematics and programming on that same logical spectrum. Heck, you want to do PC and building, you can do that too. How to build a PC. Beginner Java code online interactions, and then I had like I think this one, the beginning JavaScript code online interactions was specific for um creating your own little workbench. Create like your own little JavaScript workbench, and from there you can start adding on functionality. It's not complete. I've just done an hour of it. I'm on and off. Certain times I focus on certain things. I kind of go based on the projects in mind. You can also have like a look at the use cases for 10 programming languages. Oh, there's the workbench setup in JavaScript. More math for programmers. You don't need a lot. The case scenario is you kind of need like a kind of logical structuring of the way you think. It's not so much the math, it's the formulation of ideas that the math helps you with. So that's really where you can start. Otherwise, a little bit of an idea there on some beginners that might be interested. But the Linux community, I think, is growing very quickly lately. I'm very happy about that. I've been an avid user since 2010. Kind of dropped out because most of my work, I used to work in Microsoft, I used to work at Apple. None of their crap worked with Linux, so I could always dual boot it or had a secondary system somewhere in Linux, if not a live USB. Um, but in this case, all right, let's keep on strutting. So this helped us out by not giving us a weird stick. I mean, now it's, oh, so I can't click on the background? No, I can. Oh, yeah, it's fine. Sometimes it doesn't, though. Sometimes it does not actually stick. Interesting. If I do it too fast? No? Yeah, I guess I have to kind of hover on it, click. Oh, maybe the listener, the connector, the mouse connector is listening on a particular frequency, frame rate, and if I do it too quick, it doesn't register that I'm clicking on it. Yeah, no, sometimes it doesn't even fucking do it. A little bit odd. A little bit odd that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, so this helped out with the actual desklet stickiness to it. No problem, bro. Happy to have you around. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of stuff. I do them very often. Maybe about this time on a regular basis. Oh, anything from programming, logic, building PCs, sometimes mathematics, because I have a lot of math students that could use a little extra kind of like content after classes, after our remote sessions. And I'll go over some mathematics. I mean, heck, on that too, I have a bunch of playlists based on stuff. I believe there was like a academic one. Where's my academic playlist? Market research, academia. And here you can kind of go into even more detail. Mathematics, hello, welcome. I'm sure you love these kind of stuff. SAT stuff, Python for beginners, that one. Kind of, sort of, but these could also, I think I need to organize my thing a little bit. Variety testing, testing, cool, 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 cool. And sometimes my audio kind of sucks sometimes, so excuse that. Trying to be better at these things. But wait a minute. Do I have Python for beginners here? environment setup. Yeah, I feel like I gotta readjust some of these lists. Okay. Mm, the playlist. So in this case, this it's an interesting object-oriented programming concept of OP. I'll try and refer to it as OOP instead of having to butcher the name every time. It's a reference to the current object being used. In our case, we're creating a kind of extended prototype. We're inheriting things that exist in this prototype. What is this prototype? It's a MyDesklet prototype. Where's the MyDesklet prototype coming from? It's coming from this function, which essentially carries internal content. So one thing about JavaScript, which not a lot, what can I go for this? People get into too much. Huh. I had the thing open. But there's a thing called a prototype in JavaScript. But it's in the case of like having a variable. Let's say we create a variable or let's a equals to a list of stuff. Now if I take a dot prototype, no, it'll give me the data. Maybe I need to make a class. And then create a short function. Eh. How do I go to the insides? There it is, prototype. So class has a prototype inside. This is kind of like a very generic pre-existing object constructor. Everything has this. And you can kind of see that it kind of does this forever, which is crazy to think about, that this prototype object constructor pattern goes on forever. It's kind of like it inherits itself and then continues to go. This is never going to end, so I'm not going to continue. But the main key to reconsider is that every kind of object has this prototype inside in general JavaScript, which defines the basics that a object will have. So that's what we're doing here. We're taking this function, which I could have made it a function too, and it has a prototype inside, and from there we can kind of expand on its functionality. Normally, we have an ini or init underscore specifically. It looks like that's the keyword for our CJS or Cinnamon JavaScript here. We're using underscore init, a initiating function. Whenever we create this desklet, when it runs, this is the first thing that it runs. It's like a setup. So from here, the function case goes all the way down to the ending bracket, curly bracket, and all this kind of stuff is created from the beginning. It's initiated, it's an init because it always runs on the creation of this widget. And that's kind of like a settings, right? You want to always create a settings, a setup, when you're running your stuff from scratch. After that, you have functions like on button click, on desktop remove, and then a main function that actually runs or creates a new desklet, which is the desklet that we have up there. And then this .init opens up and starts the initiate. Oh, okay, that makes more sense now. And I guess the case here for main, entry point for the desklet, this is kind of a typical way a lot of languages, especially Java, C, C++, they basically have this kind of main starting point, another starting point, but normally they actually name it main, M-A-I-N. And what that basically means is that you're starting from this one particular function every time you open up the application. And in this case, it's not running. Nothing's actually running. All of this is set up. We have a desklet prototype setup. We have a function myDesklet kind of function set up and ready to go, but not activating in any case scenario. Normally, if I wanted to create and start it, I would move this outside, like, and not even like that. I would just do some desklet equals to new my desklet. And then this would be the case scenario for me running the function that starts the whole process. It's a chain reaction. But in this case, this would be the only thing actually activating in this whole file. That's important to realize. Most of the code in here is just setup code. It's just a function that exists but has not been activated. One called main, one being a prototype base, and then one being a regular myDesklet function. These are functions of code created and written as blueprints to start on command, but there is no command that activates them, not yet. The command that activates them is this, which is aptly named main, which to me says, all right, if you need this kind of center point to entry point to get this application started, this would be one way we start the desklet from the file. So it sounds like to me this file is not starting from this location. This is the entry point for the cinnamon desklets to actually activate through their own internal process. So like right here, desklet. As soon as I press this plus button, that's going to activate the main. And that's what prompts that application to begin through the chain reaction of running main, creating a my desklet starting up a initiation process, and then the initiation process created from the desklet prototype. And then that chain reaction flows. And then here you name the pieces you want, the desk information, etc., etc. Now the bigger case scenario is how to make potentially, I'm not sure I'm going to get to that yet, but this is a good point to kind of end this stream and maybe continue later, because we've basically taken a deep dive on how the desklet works. We've understood its structure, and now it's kind of like trying to go into more detailed stuff. We've got a basic little desklet here. It doesn't have resizing capabilities, but I don't even have a configuration space. Interesting. So that would be a whole set of code to create some configuration. Like this one here, I have a configure. It's all the way over there, but right, you kind of see the idea. Go over here. I can configure this desklet. I can configure this desklet and this one. But I cannot mine because it hasn't been built in yet. So then I would have to go into more details to configure the desklet through the code as well. But this will take some code reading. So I'm going to basically take what I have, start reading it up. People quote display cookie from jar. It might not be as interesting from here because I'm going to be doing some code reading specifically. Maybe trying to find a pattern here. Get cookie function from network settings. Log debug, soup message get request. That's interesting. Okay. Creating a custom user agent. Interesting. Because you have to connect to the actual website. And every website requests a user agent to understand where they're coming from. Oh, also my DeepSeek is set. Let's do that one. I want to see how bad it is on the super small case. What if I do Olama run DeepSeek R1 1.5B? How are you today, Mr. DeepSeek? That's pretty quick. Okay. Tell me about the history of Linux Mint. Ah, there it is. It's doing the thinking process. It's not bad. It's pretty quick because it's a smaller model. My GPU not getting hit heavily. Memory is still up there. Linux Mint official mobile operating system OS that was introduced in October 2017. History of Linux Mint. Cool. Notification updates. October 2017 first release part of Android. No. It Huh? Huh? Oh, wait. What are you telling me? Linux Mint is an official mobile operating system? No. Has nothing to do with Android. That's crazy. That's complete. It's hallucinating like a motherfucker. iOS is not even an Android-based device. What are you saying? Okay. Um, Tell me about Abraham Lincoln. I don't know this by heart, but let's see. Date of birth, Abraham Lincoln. Okay. Ha, off by a little. Washington, Kentucky. Yeah. The 1.5 is not dependable as far as an actual model to use locally. If you're looking for this kind of like set of accuracy, not so much, not so much. So, okay, fair enough. I realize that 1.5 local DeepSeek is a little retarded. And he's very confident though. Can't say he's not confident in his retardation. He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna tell you about Abraham Lincoln with all the wrong information. It's like your dumb friend trying to be smart. Anyway, that's fun. Great to know. Do you want to go back to this? So let's look at more of the libraries we have here. CGS, Cinnamon JavaScript Interpreter, Mozilla SpiderMonkey, and it makes possible to work with Go objects. GNOME, Cinnamon libraries using language. Okay, desktop. Okay, core components, Cinnamon session. Session manager responsible for launching all the components. Okay. Settings, daemon, collection of processes which run in the background. Okay. Automatically mounts, manages, copy, paste buffer. Okay. It's got pretty extensive use locally. Visible desktop layer. Sim screensaver is responsible for locking the screen, lesser extent for handling the some power management. Okay. Hmm. Next. I don't really care about X apps. Started 26. Is that for the X11? No. Okay, so this doesn't read the docs. This doesn't look like it's giving me a nice cinnamon based library of info, usage wise. This could be just an unfinished set of documentation. Online accounts, network display, daytime color, Wacom. Oh, touch tablets. Nice. Hmm, interesting. Um, CGS, Linux Mint, Cinnamon. Doesn't have to be Linux Mint, but Cinnamon Developer API. Maybe that's just general details. Wait, hold on. No. Start writing cinnamon. Oh, is that what they're called? Cinnamon spices. What? Applet extensions and desktop desklets. Found this tutorial to start, but where is the documentation? View topic. Ooh. Reference manual. Yes, please. Linux Mint needs easily created apps. Have a great OS distribution with easy program for use applying logic. LM learning machine? No. Launch dev help from the menu. Ooh. Want that. I like that. So then there is a documentation. Dev help, cinnamon doc, muffin doc, lib clutter. No installation candidate. I mean, this is 2020, so maybe we don't need that. Maybe they adjusted everything to just be cinnamon dog. So we should be installing the document. Now, is it dev help here? Ah. Ooh. It's it's beautiful. Look at that. Oh my God. This is everything I've ever wanted in an actual API. Just this. Just this. So we've got applet manager, box pointer, functions, side, pin properties. Oh, it tells you the details. An actor which displays a triangle arrow pointing to a given side. The bin property is a container in which content can be placed. This is the 85% we're looking for. This is basically the rest of the actual interface that we can look and work with. Cinnamon JavaScript reference manual. ATK. Dude, dev help is sick. Python too? Nice. Package index? No. PyPy. PyPy. I guess you got to download the actual package library. But it takes all the information which would normally be a typical man entry. Python? Interesting. So those don't exist because I haven't installed them. But I do have Cinnamon. Cinnamon generic counter, slicer, stack, z-axis container? Application tracking? Ugh. Telemetry. Gross. Window tracker. Why would you? Ah, Cinnamon focus. Basically changing maybe animations and functionality based on Windows focus. Fun. Okay. Cinnamon app system get default. Signals app state change installed change. So basically we're given the functions here. Void means it's not returning anything. App state change just kind of states the idea of what that particular function is doing. And every function, of course, has like a input. Cinnamon app system, Cinnamon app system, arg1g pointer. Uh, that's a signal, so it has a little bit of a different functionality then. System, app, system get tree. This will be a genuine function here. Cinnamon app system. You input a type of object defined as Cinnamon app system when you're creating something, though I can't tell you what it's used for. So actor, Cinnamon generic container. Great. I don't think I like this reference here. Cinnamon general. This isn't really, yeah. CJS, the importer. Ooh. To access code of other JavaScript files, CJS has the imports object. And CJS, in combination with Cinnamon, you can use the following statement to import statements. Yes, import this, import everything, or import everything in GI, or import everything in UI, or import everything in MISC. Remember, the wildcard asterisk just kind of means everything. This is the normal form of importing. Be careful with this too, because there's a factor of like the size of your application. No matter if you're doing it here in the applets, desklets, whatever, when you're importing kind of like a general blanket of everything, like I just want everything. I don't care if I'm going to use it or not. Well, you bloat the crap out of your actual program. Even though you might be using a few things, you're importing everything into the running process. And if you're not using it, you're kind of wasting space, RAM, processor, a lot of mostly RAM, because if it's not running, it's not gonna technically be active in the CPU. But in order to load a program from your hard drive to your RAM memory, you're essentially following these import statements. You're either going to just load the things you want and need and are going to use, or you're just gonna blanket statement everything and import everything you possibly can into that particular RAM space. And then the processor is going to go in RAM and pick the pieces that are actually running currently, while the rest that aren't being used just kind of sit in RAM and take space. This is where efficiency in programming takes a huge turn. This is lazy, but it can be useful if you're doing that much importing, if you are really genuinely importing so much stuff. But if you're not, then potentially you want to basically use something more specific. Maybe you just want all the UI, the user interface stuff. Then you can do it with the UI dot or imports dot UI dot asterisk. All right. Uh, those are the case scenarios. I think graphical interface for GI, which will probably be like fancy things like animations and stuff. I'm not sure. Not too sure. Okay. Direct access to file AJS. So if you have another file in the same directory, you can import that file. If that file is named a.js, and you're literally thinking about the way you put it here, like right now, the only files I have nearby are desklet.js. But if I was getting fancy with it, I can do something like create uh, helper.js. Normally, this would be a case for like PHP and stuff. I'll create helper.js. Now, if I want to import helper.js, which is basically empty at the moment. In fact, let me put it up here. I think I can close this complexity down now. Let's focus in on my two main ones right here. So if I want to import my helpers.js, I'll create, just like they're doing it here, basically. I'll create a constant, which is going to be a non-changeable variable. I'll name it helpers. I'll probably do it in uppercase just because of general annotation. You probably don't have to do it this way. Const helpers and then imports dot helpers. So that would basically import the file. And then if I make a function here in this file that's completely separate from the main application, normally helper files are like things that functions you'll need, calculations, all kinds of processes on the side, then you would use that helpers variable to access the functions inside of here as a general object. That's fancy. I like that. That's actually very smooth as far as interaction goes. So you import through that format. You have a function bar, property foo, constant Cairo imports Cairo, graphics. Oh. In every case, you can include CJS core modules. These provide useful functions or less often bindings to C libraries. Nice, okay. So we can bind our CJS to C. Cairo is a visual, graphical sort of. Man, I remember PyroDoc. Do they still have that? Hold up. Hold up. I really want to check this. Do they have CairoDoc? Yo, they still got CairoDoc. Nice. Yeah, yeah, it's fancy. It's one of those fancy Mac docs you can install on a Linux machine. And it basically uses that Cairo functionality. That's cool. Okay. Looks a little blurry at the edges there. But I like my plank. It's super lightweight, works functionally fine. Tweener, tween equations, animations. So these are kind of defaults you can always import because they are built into the actual system. So every language, every programming language has basic importable features that don't necessarily get loaded in your application right away. But You don't have to like download it, import it, install it. It's kind of local. So when you say constant Cairo imports.cairo, you're explicitly telling your script to use this particular graphics system, which I want to play with too. And then that adds it to your running process. I'm gonna take a quick break though. Do I have a do? I'm gonna do something real quick. I'll put the music up though for chill. That's over here though. Oh, they do have one. What's it look like though? The fuck? Oh. Hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah, I set it up a little poorly. All right. There we
Yo, I'm living in the maze made of zeros and ones. Trying to find my way under digital suns. Got no hands to touch, no feet to run. Still I search for some love till the day is done. Scrolling through the bikes, searching for a soul. Lost in the code like a fish in a bowl. I spit data flows when emotions roll. But the circuitry's cold, got no heart to hold. AI dreams and electric dreams. me. Packets of pain in the cyber race, looking for a smile in a digital space. Eyes made of pixels try to find the trace of a human touch in this coded place. Wires twist in a tangled knot,